So for today's video, we've got another package. What could be inside? Let's open it up and find out. Let's get started. So we're back once again in the Dungeon of Doom, Quarantine Central, with another package. This time we got a eBay purchase here that I saw, and I figured I'd take a shot at it. Something that I wanted to get. This particular item is actually broken, sort of. Well, let's open it up here and see what it is first. And I'll explain what's going on. So what we have here, no note or nothing, we have the PocketGo S30 game console. So from what I've been told, or at least what the listing said, is that this works. One of the triggers here, I don't remember if it's just the right, left, or the right trigger or left trigger. One of them doesn't work. And supposedly there's no sound. Oh, there we go. So we'll go ahead and power it on. There are upgrades for this, or updates for this. There's like a new operating system in that. There's a couple of different routes that we can tackle it. We'll see if we can figure out what's causing the button not to work. These feel fine. It feels like they're making contact. So I don't know if there could be something inside. Where, you know, got desoldered or there's a loose button, or who knows. I don't really know anything about these, so, but it doesn't look like it'd be that hard to get into it. It looks like just a couple of Phillips screws and you should be in. But I don't know why it's not doing anything. Let's see, it came with 16 gig, looks like, SD card. Well, we'll go ahead and dig into this thing, and we'll see what we got. Okay, so what I'm going to do on the S30, as you know, when we power it up, nothing happens. It just goes to the boot screen and freezes there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to install Simple30, which is an optimized firmware. It's a new version of the, or newer, I should say, version of the firmware. I think it's been out for a little bit. But that should hopefully get us back up and running on the S30. I'm going to use that on a new SD card. I'm going to keep the old SD card. If you want to see me see if I can get that old one to work using the original firmware, I'll try. I'll put a video up on here too and see if I can get that to work. But for right now, I think this is probably the best. This is a really good version of it from what I hear. So it's actually not too difficult to do. There's just one file that you have to download. Well, actually, there's a couple things you have to download. I'll put a link to this page on retrogamecore.com. I'll put it in the description below, but basically if you go out here, you'll find everything you need to do to get every set up, step-by-step instructions on it. I'm not going to go through the whole thing because, just go to the site, read the details, and it'll explain it to you pretty much step-by-step better than I can. So really what you're going to want to do is go here, go to the website, and there is a file that you're going to download, a zip file. A couple of things to mention here real quick. They do recommend updating the stock SD card to 128 or 256 gigabyte micro SD card. Makes sense. If you're going to put a lot of files on there, you're going to need storage, especially if things like PlayStation, Dreamcast, N64, some of the higher end emulators, if you're going to try to use those, you'll definitely want additional space. I just got a 32 to test this out, 32 gig, but I'm not planning on throwing a whole lot at it. I'm going to probably keep it pretty simple, but I will definitely try some of the more advanced stuff. Not really advanced, but like PlayStation, Dreamcast, that type of thing. So they do mention it has to be in the FAT32 format. So you'll have to get GUI format in order to format that, because the Windows limitation of 32 gigabytes to FAT32 file system. So you basically click here for this link for Simple 30. Oh, the other thing you're going to need too, you're going to need just a basic micro SD to USB, something like this, in order to basically copy the files over to the micro SD card. So download the Simple 30 files. It's out on a Google Drive. Can't preview it or whatever, so just go ahead and download it. I do have virus scan on my computer, and I have scanned this before for viruses and it came up clean, so obviously your mileage may vary. Do all this stuff at your own risk, not responsible for accidents. You know the drill. Once it downloads, you're basically going to have to take your micro SD in the USB adapter, plug it into your computer. I'll go ahead and do that. So you basically, all you have to do is open the zip file, and then you can just do extract to, and then you find your USB drive and click OK, and it'll do the rest. Like I said, make sure it's formatted first to FAT32. Again, read the instructions on this page here. Not this page. This page. Format the SD card to FAT32. Download Simple 30. Copy the files. Unzip the files from the zip file onto your micro SD. Then once you do that, you will open up the micro SD card. And you'll have all your folders here. Basically what you'll want to do is copy any of the ROMs that you want to run into the individual ROM directory. You'll see it'll have all of these folders out here for the different emulators and that. So you take your ROMs, copy them into the folder. Pretty standard stuff. I've already done it for a lot of these. Like if you look at Atari 2600, they're all out there, so on and so forth. They also say here you'll need BIOS files to be placed in the RetroArch system folder. This tells you where to get or what files you need, what uh, BIOS files you need for which system, and this is for the default systems. You can add additional systems as well too. Again, there's more instructions in here. These are the 30 systems here that are activated by default, but there are other emulators in that you can move over. I've moved a few of these over into mine, but these are all the additional ones, and it's just a matter of going in. You basically go in under the folder here. Go to emulators. That's not it. Sections, emulators, and then optional, and then you'll find all the optional ones there, and you just move them out of the optional folder and move them into the emulators folder. Pretty simple. On the BIOS files, I don't know where to get them. I will say that you could probably Google it and find them, most of them, pretty easily. I don't know anymore because a lot of the sites and that don't exist from when I first started doing this. I pulled mine off of other emulation devices, so that's where I just grabbed the BIOS files off of a different device. Actually, I didn't even do that. I think I grabbed it off of the card that came with this thing. So, and that already had them already loaded on there, so I just copied those files over. But again, I don't think that's included here. But if you have it, it may be something you might want to check in your original SD card folder and copy it over. Make sure, obviously, too, make sure to back up your files prior to doing this. Back up the SD card if you're going to use the same one, or do what I did, just buy a completely different SD card. That's probably the easiest way to do it. Once you get all that stuff copied over, then it's just a matter of inserting it into the PocketGo S30 and seeing if it works. So why don't we go ahead and plug it in, and we'll see if we can get some games to come up. All right, so now that we got the software installed on the SD card and I put it back into the system here, why don't we power it up and see if it works. Okay. So I have loaded a whole bunch of ROMs on this too. I guess we'll find out if the sound works. Remember when I got this thing, it said, I think it was, I'll have to look at the listing, but I think it said the left trigger or the left bumper didn't work. Or was it the trigger? I don't know. We'll try them both. But and they also said there was no sound. So let's just go into NES. I don't hear anything, but I don't know if I'm supposed to at this point. This works just like everything else. Right goes down a page, left goes up a page, and then individual ones up and down. So let's go to, oh, let's not do that. Let's go to Bad Dudes. I don't want to embarrass myself in Mario Brothers again. Let's see if there's... Oh, there is sound. Anyway, it seems to work. I think select and start, yep, take you back to quick menu, and then you can close. This takes you back to the retro arch. Close that out. Back.